here we are again on the last Sunday of the month. You know the drill, right? But if you don't, this is the time for us to look back at what happened in the Indo-Pacific region in February 2023. A big news happened in early February with the Philippines and the US Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement or EDCA deal. We already discussed it, so I won't talk about it again today. So, what other stories do we have this month? Let's jump into the video. We're gonna start today's video from Indonesia. On 9 February, Jens reported that the Indonesian Ministry of Finance or MOF approved the request from the Indonesian Armed Forces to procure unmanned combat aerial vehicles or UCAV with foreign loan and is currently evaluating suitable lenders for this plan. The UCAV is part of a list of 16 programs for this year that have been granted permission to take foreign loans by the Ministry of Finance. However, a formal contract must be signed by the MOD before 31 December 2023. These approvals have been granted separately for each military branch and also include provision for UCAV-mounted munitions. The Indonesian Air Force has been given permission to take loans up to $200 million and up to $38.1 million for UCAV munition. Meanwhile, the Navy also has been given permission to take loans up to $100 million and up to $10.8 million for its munition. From a separate source, the Indonesian MOD confirmed the plan to acquire the UCAV, and they intended to buy two types of UCAV from Turkish companies. The first one is Bayraktar TB2 from Baykar Technology and Anka from Turkish Aerospace, although I still cannot confirm which variant it will be. Both types will be armed with Rocket Samam-L lightweight smart munition. And a MOD official claimed that both companies are ready to give technology transfer to Indonesian Aerospace if the contract are signed. UAV have become an integral part of modern militaries, and UCAV in particular have proven time and time again that they can perform the same missions and give the same result as manned aircraft, but with less risk. Indonesia itself has been operating UCAV for a couple of years with Chinese-made CH-4 in relatively small numbers, so acquiring more combat drones is necessary. Looking at the current geopolitics development, I think procuring UCAV from other countries besides China is the right move. And I'm glad one of them will be the famous Bayraktar TB2. Still from Indonesia, in early February, Jens also reported that the Indonesian Ministry of Finance also approved the previously rejected proposal to procure the Pohang-class corvette for the Indonesian Navy. According to Jens' article, the approval was confirmed in a notice issued by the Ministry of Finance to the Ministry of Defense on 7 December 2022, and a copy of the notice was provided to Jens in late January. The notice indicates that this proposal was resubmitted by the MOD in October 2022, in addition to a list of other proposed procurement like shipborne munition. With this new development, the Indonesian Navy is now clear to take foreign loans up to $21 million to fund 3 Pohang-class corvettes from South Korea. This is how defense procurement look like in Indonesia. Today they say it's approved, tomorrow they can reject it, and the day after they can approve it again. It's very fluid, and we cannot really predict the outcome until the equipment arrives physically. Even though now the report says the Pohang procurement is approved, I want to remind you that this is not the end. We will probably hear a new report saying the other way around in a couple of months. Unless there's a political reason behind this decision, then yes, this is the end. Personally, I'm still against this plan, because besides adding the number of ships operated by the Navy, it's not gonna enhance their capability so much. They said it's for stopgap measure, but without any real plan to replace the Navy's aging combatant fleets, this won't fix anything. These corvettes, just like most combatants in the Navy fleet, are almost at the end of their service life. My prediction, up to 10 to 15 years max. When it's time to decommission it, what are we gonna do? Searching for another stopgap? Moving on, after granting the US access to additional military bases in the Philippines, President Marcos Jr. flew to Japan for a 5-day visit to forge closer security ties with Tokyo. During his visit, both leaders agreed to allow their armed forces to work together during disaster relief. But analysts see this agreement as a step towards a broader pact that could allow both countries to deploy forces on each other's soil. In a joint press remark, the Japanese Prime Minister said that both countries had agreed to try and establish a framework that would quote-unquote strengthen and smooth the process of holding joint exercises. And President Marcos Jr. said he saw no reason why the Philippines should not have a visiting forces agreement or VFA with Japan similar to the US if it would boost maritime security and ensure greater protection for Filipino fishermen. However, he would exercise caution in pursuing a potential pact with Japan because he doesn't want to appear provocative. Currently, the Philippines has VFA with the US, meanwhile Japan has VFA with Australia and the UK, and also hosts the biggest concentration of US troops abroad. I'm not a Filipino, but I like what the Philippines' current president is doing. He actively reached out to China's adversaries with a purpose to push them back out of Philippines territory. We discussed this before. The Philippines cannot counter China alone with their current strength, but if they join forces with like-minded countries, they can become strong. Still from East Asia, last week, Japan's Defense Ministry reported that North Korea fired an ICBM-class missile with the debris splashing down about 200 km of Oshima Island in Hokkaido inside Japan's EEZ. The missile is the first ICBM-class weapon to be fired by the North since November, travels roughly 900 km, hitting a peak altitude of 5,700 km with a flight time of 66 minutes. The missile was likely flown on a lofted trajectory, meaning it had been nearly shot straight up so as to avoid overflying neighboring countries. Japan Prime Minister protested the launch, calling it an outrage and escalation against the international community as a whole. The next day, North Korea announced they had fired an ICBM missile in what they called a sudden launching drill that demonstrated actual proof of the country's fatal nuclear counterattack capabilities. North Korean state-run media said the drill had been suddenly organized without previous notice under an emergency standby order given at dawn on Saturday and a written order by Kim Jong-un at 8 o'clock. The launch of what North Korea said was a Hwasong-15 ICBM came just day ahead of tabletop joint military drills between the US and South Korea at the Pentagon to hone their response to the potential use of nuclear weapons by the North. To end today's video, on 8 February, the French Navy Mistral-class LHD Dixman and Lafayette frigate left their home port in Toulon to sail around the world and through the Indo-Pacific in accordance with the mission Jeanne d'Arc 2023. 640 sailors, 156 officer cadet, and 150 troops and their equipment are involved in this mission. Jeanne d'Arc is an annual, long-duration, and joint deployment which aim to provide officer cadet with at-sea operational training before joining their units as officer. This mission has 3 goals: to train the future generation of French Navy officers, deploying operational capabilities in areas of strategic interest and interoperability and regional cooperation. They will deploy until mid-July and conduct a full circumnavigation of the Earth by sailing through the Suez Canal, Indian Ocean, Malacca Strait, Pacific Ocean, Panama Canal, and Atlantic Ocean. Besides conducting port calls in several countries, they will also conduct several exercises including La Perouse with Australia, India, Japan, and the US, and Croix du Sud in New Caledonia with 15 partners. If you live in Singapore and Jakarta, save the date. You might have a chance to see their ship up close this month. I wonder if they will have an open ship event during their port call though. It might be a once-in-a-lifetime experience for military enthusiasts like us. If you want to know more about the recent agreement between the Philippines and the US, you can watch it right here or by clicking the link in the video description. And that's it for today. 5 stories in the Indo-Pacific region in February 2023. What do you think about these stories? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching everyone. I'll see you in the next one.